Hey there everyone, another week with me, Lisa O'Brien, and this week I'm going to do some fun Easter eggs with you, practicing our techniques for watercolor beginners and throwing in one of my best tips ever on color. So be sure to watch to the end and I hope you enjoy it. Let's be creative and let's get into it. So I'm drawing my egg with a Sharpie pen. They don't bleed when you add water. Once you've drawn your egg shape, it's time to really wet the paper, as you can see here. And now mixing the colour. I'm starting with pure magenta on my Derwent palette. If you have any problems with the paint not moving around, just make sure that you've put enough water onto the paper. Here's one of those things as a beginner, you're quite hesitant to put loads of water onto the page. You can see you want it to actually run on its own and move. So I'm adding more pigment, I'm pushing it down a little bit to get it into that really wet paper. Now I'm going to add the yellow. Yellow I'm using here is Art Spectrum Cadmium Yellow. I'll explain why I'm not using my Derwent Yellow later on. You can see how quickly the yellow moves and just takes over the area of the magenta. I'm actually tilting the paper here to make the magenta run back down and get a little bit more area. So now the paint has dried on the paper, I can actually add some straight magenta as a wash onto the yellow that's dry. You can decorate the eggs any way you like, but this is the wet on dry technique. Colour doesn't run out of place. Perfect for a specific pattern. Now I'm wetting the page again to start the process over. This time I'm using my primary blue, which is pronounced phthalo blue, silent P. Remember, the wetter the paint, the more the colour's going to move as it dries. Here I'm using the cotton tip to suck up some of the pigment and bring back some of the paper, but again, if it's really wet, it won't hold its border and the colour will seep back into that area as well. Adding a bit more blue because the yellow was so overwhelming. You might find that with whatever paint you're using and even with whatever paper texture you're using, that some colour runs more easily on the page than other colours. It's to do with the actual pigments that go into making up the paint as well. So there's a lot more to discuss on that subject, but I won't make you listen to that today. So once you've added all the paint that you like, you can actually add colouring pencils, pens. I use Posca pens sometimes, or these paint markers from Artline, and that will add to the decoration, and you can combine the colours, add black pen if you like, add white paint. It's up to you to continue to decorate them how you like. Remember, if you're going to add markers though, you have to wait till the paint's dry. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about colour and colour theory. What I'm doing here is simply mixing up the two colours that the egg was made of, and then I'm blending them. So I'll do that for each egg and then we'll talk about the results. Right, so on the way from magenta down to primary blue, we have these colours. We have maroon, purple and ultramarine blue. Purple is the middle blend, so it's the secondary colour coming between these two other colours. Then we move on to yellow and phthalo blue, and in the centre we've got green. In between we've got a teal colour, a bluey green, Next to yellow is a very lime green. Now I've saved the best for last. So you may know that a primary colour is a colour that cannot be mixed by using any other colours. They are yellow, blue, and yes, magenta, not red. I can make red from mixing magenta with yellow. For me, understanding this was the key to mixing really, really good colours, because there are so many different brands of paint, and a paint may have the same name, but it can be a totally different colour once you open up the tube. So what I want you to understand is I use two colours of each primary. One has a warm tint, which I'll explain, and one has a cool tint. So magenta is what would be widely known as a cool red, because everyone calls red a primary. So we would have a warm red, which would be red, and we would have a cool red, which is true pure magenta, which is the true primary. With the yellow, we'd have a yellow which is more like, I would describe it as a lemon yellow. And not to be confusing here, but you can use a lemon cool yellow in the sky as long as it's not showing a hot day. If it's sunrise and there's no heat in the day yet, then you can use a lemon yellow. And then we'd have a more golden yellow, which is a warmer yellow. Think of a fire or heat, any colours that you would put into something that would make it feel hot. Two different blues. The ultramarine blue, which I've talked to you about with shadows, is the cool blue. And phthalo blue with the silent P is the warm blue. Now there's so much more on colour that I'd love to talk to you about, but I'll leave it for another day. I think I've thrown enough at you today. If you can just appreciate that I'm trying to teach you how easy it is for me to paint, and so I'm coming from that explanation, not ordering you to paint like I do. If you want to do different things, that's completely fine with me, because I'm here just to help your art journey become more fun. But I thought that I should explain that up front with colour, because that is the key to how I use colour. I'm a big magenta fan. Not many out there apparently. So look, have a lovely Easter. I hope you've enjoyed doing the eggs, and as you can see what I'm popping down here at the bottom, I've got so much more to tell you on colour. It's exciting for me. I wish I could sit down and film and edit all day long. Thanks for joining me, and let's be creative together. Have a lovely week, everyone.